I remember the connection I had with life when I was growing up. I grew up in the forest. It was a time where only few houses were living in that area. It was almost as if the entire forest was just for my sisters and I. It was an enchanted forest. There were fireflies at night, ice on the grass a couple of times per year, crickets, huge trees. There were also abandoned houses, and you can imagine what we used to play when we were kids. And over the decade that we lived there, we had several different animals, from dogs to turtles to rabbits. We had one dog, Mancha. He was my first best friend. We were really immersed in nature. Our mom used to take us out into the garden barefoot at 5 a.m. to walk on the ground and touch the ground first thing in the morning so we could receive and connect with the day. I can say that the way I grew up was unique, considering the times we live in now, where only a few children are born into nature rather than into a digital platform. So, this way of growing up allowed me to enter into this reality being so connected with the natural, magical structure of life. But there was something that brought challenge into my life. In other words, there was a specific type of pressure that would hold important keys for my magnificent transformation. And that is where this story begins.
Teachers told my parents that they were really worried about me, that they saw that I was there, but that I was also not there at times, and that there was just something weird and like wrong in me. So, uh, like my parents, out of deep love, they took me into many different places to go through different studies and therapies and treatments so that they could find out or figure out what was wrong with me. And I remember all of the places that they took me. And to be honest, I had really awesome people taking care of me and guiding me into different processes as they would, try to figure out what was wrong with me. There was this specific place that I remember a lot, And this place had blue walls with little people crafted on the walls. And I would go there for a couple or few years, and they will give me a pink pill, lay me on a bench, connect me some cables in my around my head, and those cables were connected to a computer, which in that time it was bigger than the ones that we have now, and they were reading my brain. So, so they could figure out what was wrong with me. So even though, and at that time I was around 5 years old, maybe a little bit less or just after five. So even though my parents did all of that from their deep love to me, those experiences printed in my psyche with a specific message. The message that there was something wrong with me. Years passed, and that thought of there's something wrong with me turned into the following thought, which was, I must be stupid. So I entered into high school with this same imprinted message in my psyche. So I was behaving from that place. And because of that behavior, no one wanted me to be part of the groups of work or do like, yeah, homework with them because I was the less clever human in the classroom, right? Because I was believing a certain thing. So I was behaving in that way. And then that was just like the result that was being reflected in many different things and topics throughout my life. The only places where I could feel I really belong were the dance and the theater academies. So I dedicated a really big part of my life going into different dance and theater classes or diplomas. And after a while, when I was 18, I decided to enter into a dance academy in Mexico City. And I was taking several classes. And at some point, the owner of that academy started noticing that before leaving the place, I would always go down to observe the aerial silks class. And one day she approached to me and she said, like, why don't you come and take one class? Just try it. And she actually didn't know that since I was very little, I used to tell my mom, like, Mom, I want to go to the circus sleigh and be a great aerial performer, and I want to be the best ballet dancer, and so on. So in that moment, I was like, whoa, I felt like it was my mom speaking to me or giving me that opportunity through another woman. Um, that currently is actually my father's wife. So that was just like a really interesting thing of like, the universe always taking care of me in that sense. So yeah, so I went there. I took the first class, and I remember being so in love with that experience and with the skills and admiring everyone that was climbing as high as the ceiling would allow. And I remember feeling so small and feeling like, whoa, I wish at some point I'm gonna be able to do that. So the time passed, and after a while, I decided to dedicate my life to art and circus. I did everything in my power to go and study specifically circus outside Mexico. So I did my research. I found a few schools, but from all the ones that I researched, I just felt totally driven to one in specifically. It's called Circomedia and it's in Bristol in England. So everyone would tell me like, usually you need to pick few or several and you can send your application video in case, no, none of them accepts you or some of them. But I was just feeling so driven to this one specifically. So I just decided to dedicate my full creative genius into that one. I sent the application video, and some months after I received the letter of them accepting me and actually offering me to do the 2 years of foundation degree of contemporary circus and physical theater. So I went there and I started the foundation degree. And in the first semester, we had to do devising work. This meant that we will be given a task and we had to prepare a 5 minutes piece to present it on the Fridays. This would involve uh, showing up for working in a team and sharing ideas. So we would sit down with our team, with our group, and we will have to one by one share our ideas, what we were thinking, so on. And of course, I was staying quiet, and until everyone finished speaking and sharing their ideas, it was my turn. But again, I was just staying quiet. But they were all staring at me and waiting to hear ideas from me. So eventually I had to speak and share what I thought and felt that we could explore. So something extraordinary started happening. First, they will really take in my ideas, like take into consideration. We would actually apply some of the ideas that I shared. And then I saw that some of my ideas were actually working. So in that moment, I started seeing that what I thought all my life maybe wasn't true. And then on top of that, as the year passed, I started also seeing that people wanted to work with me because my physical skills and complexity was perfect for flying. So I remember a lot of people, even from other years, wanting to base me and try out new, fun, beautiful things with me. So I started gaining more trust in myself and learning more about how to be a leader, um, and many other things started unlocking. Really beautiful things, actually. But I still had many years ahead of work to access what I call the remembrance. I will explain what I mean by that later in the transmission. So, despite all of these trainings and other things, I was still operating from lack, lack of self recognition. So, I would miss more classes than that I was supposed to, and not giving my 10,000% in anything and leaving homeworks till the end, etc. After I finished the 2 years, of FDA, the time for me to go back to Mexico came. I was in the city for a few months, still keep on going with my training, and suddenly Tulum, the Mexican Caribbean, started calling me. So I followed the call. I remember that I bought the flight tickets and I only had 200 pesos extra in my pocket. But I was just so clear about what was this calling and this sense of devotion that I had of really starting my pathway into a professional performer. So I just went for it. I arrived into Tulum, and immediately as I landed, a lot of synchro destinies started coming up, meeting with the right people in the right time for me to have awesome opportunities to accomplish my vision of beginning my professional performer career. And yeah, that's when the real juicy deal began, or at least more of the juicy ones. I started becoming more aware of all the inner work that I had to do. I was stepping into a leadership role, opportunities to journey with different psychoactive medicines came, opportunities to be part of portals of ritual and an ancestral ceremony also came. And with all of that, I started to unlock ancient wisdom stored inside me. Um, so after a lot of beautiful, crazy experiences, maybe crazy is not the right word because they're the right word because they're quite like just part of life. So let's just leave it as after a lot of huge, beautiful opportunities to dive deeper into my inner landscapes and approach a life that is more driven from truth and deep listening and creativity and curiosity. Um, the Phoenix woman story happened. So you can go and check out my previous video to know more about that part of my life. But jumping a little bit forward into the last year, the year of the dragon, I had one of the greatest initiations of my life. It was a period of time where I was being asked to step stronger into my sovereign being. And I was being asked to do that through a series of hard challenges. I had one of the biggest crises I've experienced in my life. It lasts like about 7 months. I was just questioning everything. I completely lost my sense of self. I had really deep and strong ego deaths. I was questioning the world. I was questioning the life on earth as humans. I even questioned my path through art. And that has never happened. So it was big. It was intense. It was good. It was a good ride. Um, so slowly I received signs of life, signs of the new path tracing forward, tracing in front and underneath and through me. And what I was receiving is that I needed to birth into the world one of my legacies. And I needed to do that in the middle of my own death process, in the middle of the deepest mud territories I've walked on. And I was just being guided to do it. And that's when Rituals of Restoration was born. This is a project that it's a temple. It's a temple for transformation, a temple that offers online and in-person journeys to awaken the alchemist within and remember who we truly are. I will put the link below in the description of the video so you can check it out. And if you feel the call, you are warmly invited to be part of this community of alchemists. I have died more times than I can count in this one life. And thanks to each death and thanks to each rebirth, the new me has been born. The new me that can be in love with life again. That knows that what I have to offer is being channeled from the same source that created the stars above. Then the new me that knows that I can sit in front of another human being and see who they are, see their potential, see their unique natural process of unbecoming, to remember. The new Sandra Somamorkala that speaks from the authority of her humble heart. The guardian of love, unity, and beauty. Along my life, I found that beauty is that which is true, is that which exists in the dark, like crystals, which are born from Earth's darkness. So when Earth's elements, such as minerals, heat, pressure, time, space, meet in harmony inside the womb of a rock, inside the Earth's darkness, that's when the crystals are born. That's how crystals are made, from that perfect fusion and harmony of those elements. Yeah, so I'm gonna repeat the elements: minerals, pressure, water, time, space, darkness. We all have a background story, but it's within the power of choice that we get to live from the darkest places of that story, or to birth a new story from the beauty found in that darkness. Through our decisions and actions, we choose if we keep playing our small selves by staying in the victimhood perspective, or if we take all of our power back from those fragmented storylines and birth something that is in service to the benefit of all life. Not long ago, I heard another dragon woman say, I believe that we are our most beautiful selves when we are in love. And I believe that. So let's just take a minute to close our eyes and tune in with how would it look and taste to live life from our in love selves. How would it look and taste a world of in love people? And just really, really use this moment to close your eyes or leave them open if you want, whatever serves you right now. Just breathing in and breathing out, taking in this question. How would it look and taste living life from your in love self? How would it look and taste a world of in love people? Now I want to invite you to take this exercise, to take the images, the flavors, the sensations that this exercise created through you, and keep it safe. Store it somewhere in your body that you know that can keep this experience safe, and that you can go back to it whenever you want, whenever you need it.
Open your eyes.
Abrir los ojos. Ve más allá. El espacio. Sin forma. El espectro de la luz se refleja a través de mi alma. Como gotas de lluvia en silencio, me disuelvo. Ya no existo. Ya soy. Somos. Somos.
Someone that remembers is the one
Silencio.
that lives from, through,
Somos.
and for love.